Greetings, brothers. Today I'd like to talk to you about the 2021 Warhammer survey that was just sent out to all Warhammer gamers. And I'd like to make just one point on this that I think would be really good for the future of the game. So what I'd like to talk to you about is the chapter approved 2021 books. And these retail usually for about $20, and there's two books. One half of it gives you the missions, sort of a condensed version of the rules, and the other part, the field manual, tells you about all the points for the coming year. So what I'd like to say is I hate the format of this, getting an update once per year on the mission book where basically nothing changed. I think one mission had its secondaries maybe tweaked ever so slightly, and Retrieve Octarius Data or another secondary got changed, but very minor changes. And then this book is 96 pages long, and I swear that maybe 2 pages changed. So how many trees worldwide need to get cut down for 96 pages? And then the second part is I hate the fact that the points costs get updated once a year. So when they do get updated, it's cool, everything changes, the meta changes a bit, but then what we end up with is 9 months where I guess the points costs are very stagnant, everybody knows what is best, everybody knows what is not competitive this edition, and everything in competitive play just gravitates towards what is best. So what I would like to see change is, I would love it if the points costs for all the factions could be built into part of your Warhammer Plus subscription. By all means, I mean, we can still have a new rulebook, a grand tournament book every year if they want to sell us that. I mean, that's fine, I guess. New missions are always nice. And especially when you play Warhammer as often as I do, you feel like you've played each of the missions in the book 10 plus times. So a refresh on that would be totally acceptable, and I'd be willing to pay for it. I am also willing to pay for points costs updates, but what I would love to see is the point cost updates move from a physical copy. And I believe that other book is 42 pages. I couldn't even find mine one, but like 42 pages where I'm interested in one page. Right? I was interested in like the 2 changes to Blood Angel's points. That's all that happened in this book. It's not that I'm upset buying it again. I mean, I will buy it again in the new year, but what I would love to see is if it was part of your Warhammer Plus subscription, I guess. So if you're subscribed to Warhammer Plus, could the points costs not be more fluid? And by what I mean is fluid, like a refresh every 3 or 4 months. So we don't go for an entire year with certain models just being trash because they're too expensive, the rules aren't good, and usually it comes down to the points costs. If you tweak a model that is almost balanced, 1 or 2 points, sometimes more obviously, but you could change the meta much quicker and also attempt to balance the meta much quicker. I think when you try and balance once per year, really, I mean, I know that there's FAQs for new codexes and stuff like that, but the overall balance changes once per year. I think that it's too slow. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to win games, so I'm in a place right now where my list has evolved over this edition, and now I actually, you know, as a Blood Angels player, have found myself using less and less of the Blood Angels stuff because all the points costs went up, more and more Space Marine stuff, including now I'm running 2 Relic Contemptor double twin Volkite Culverins in my list because they're just that damn powerful. But I think what I'd like to see is more options, and that could be done if the field manual was no longer a physical thing and it became totally digital. I also think it would bring an element of excitement to the game much more often than the once every year release schedule, because I've played other video games, you know, and I don't play any video games right now, but I have played games like StarCraft and Defense of the Ancients, and these games typically have big patches every 2 or 3 months, and when they have a big patch and they change points costs or build times or whatever, and I guess and similar in Warhammer, when they change points costs, you change the meta very quickly. You know, give you a perfect example, Volkite Contemptors could have gone up 5 points. Both arms could go up 5 points, I think. They could be 10 points more expensive, and they'd probably still be pretty competitive and used quite often. By the same means, potentially like a Ball Predator could have come down 10 points, and maybe for the first time in, I don't know, 10 years, we'd see Ball Predators on the tabletop. But the point being that if this was more fluid and it could be tweaked in the app and it could be done on like every 3 month sort of rolling schedule, then the meta could totally shift. New armies and new balance would win. It would be a fun environment to play in. And yeah, I just think that it could take a lot of redundant models, or models that get made redundant for like an entire edition, and bring them back in, and it could switch all the time, and it would be much more fluid. So if there's one piece of feedback I wanted to give on the player survey for 2021, it is please move the field manual. Keep this book, because new missions and new secondaries and all that is fine, but move the field manual to a digital format, put it into Warhammer Plus. You obviously, Games Workshop obviously, it's good to have subscriptions, and if you are a true fan, the fact that they're giving you like the app and the TV shows and Old White Dwarfs and everything in this subscription is great, it's good value for money in my opinion. Add more to it, and the field manuals to me feels like it would be a great thing that you could add. In a landscape where everybody wants to go more green, like we want to fight climate change, then you basically manage to get rid of like a 50-page book. You get to put it in the app. Arguably you can make more money because you subscribe for 12 months of a year as opposed to buying the book once every year and it's only a $10 book, so they're not, in the grand scheme of things, I can't imagine it's actually making them that much money, whereas this would be a way to get like more people in, more people subscribe to Warhammer Plus, and also it would make the game feel a lot fresher. One of the main things we do on my channel is we look at army lists from new players, well, all players, sometimes new players, but we look at their lists and we tell them if they're competitive. And sometimes I just have to say like, yeah, you submitted a list with a load of Blood Angels themed units. I'm sorry, for whatever reason, your list is trash. It's not competitive at all. Go out and buy a lot of new models. Whereas like if things were detected that like, hey, we've looked at the tournament lists from the last 10 tournaments, no one has run Battle Predators, why don't we just take them down 10 points in the next 3-month patch? Okay, sure. Very simple change. I guess it would be somebody's full-time job to look at this month over month and make the changes, but I think it would be well received by the community. By all means, feel free to flame me down below and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about and that this is a terrible idea and that you don't want Warhammer Plus. Whatever, I understand. I just personally, I don't like when every army ends up with the exact same models on the table, because the manual has been out so long at this point. I think the manual must have come out close to a year ago probably at this point, that everybody has now figured out Volkite Contemptors, they're the strongest by far, nothing's changing, they're undercosted, so everybody's running them. And I mean, it's fine, I suppose, in a world where like the meta is very boring and stable and you're just going to see the most powerful models. But in a land where things could be fresh and fun and exciting and change every 3 months, I think that would be better for the game. I think one of the most fun things about the game is figuring out those builds and army lists and having fun with them. And I think that if you're a competitive player like I am, over time you're going to try and build the strongest thing, and when you see everybody else doing the strongest thing, you have no choice. You make the strongest thing or you lose. And yeah. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if there's a better way that I haven't thought about in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy the video, I'd appreciate it if you would like it, or maybe even share it with a friend, so maybe we can open a discussion on how we could get the points costs and updates delivered better to make the meta more fresh. I'll see you in the next video, brothers. By the blood army made strong.